I mean, literally, when I was being worked with, the guys would sit in a chair just like you are, and I would sit in my chair. Most of the time, they wouldn't look at me. And when I work with a client, I don't look at you either, because if I look at you, I'm going to want to do eye contact. I want to be respectful and pay attention to you.
Right.
And when they would work with me, they would look away. They would, do things like that. And I would feel different things in my body. And sometimes I would feel horrendous pain.
This is the Leo Climaco Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Leo Climaco Podcast. My guest today is my good friend, Joe Petrovski. What's up, Joe?
Hey there, Leo. Nice to be here. Thank you.
A little blooper. This is our third take trying to do this. First, I didn't have the cameras on. Then I didn't have the mic on. We went 17 minutes recording with no mic on.
And it was great stuff. It was
great,
really great
stuff. But now we got to do it all over again. Yes, 100%. But we had a great conversation. But now let's do it all over again. What's up, Joe? How is life?
Hey there. Well, life is good. And, just like this year, you're doing really, really well. And all of a sudden there's a bump in the road. So
yeah, we got to adjust and fix and keep rolling with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I mentioned before that this is your second time on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
You were my second guest, and now you're my 122nd guest. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, I'm honored to be back, certainly. Thank
so
you.
happy to have you here, Joe, seriously. Remind everybody what you do exactly.
So I'm an intuitive master healer and guide. And so what that means is I can help people eliminate really, really serious pains and illnesses, even when nothing else has worked in the past. When I lived up in Minnesota, I had a number of clients that were coming from the Mayo Clinic. They would get all their tests. They would come to me. I would do some energy sessions with them. They would go back to the Mayo. They wouldn't need the procedure and the surgeries.
Wow.
Yeah, I worked with an NFL football player that was in pain for 34 years. He was going through acupuncture, massage, and chiropractic.
What kind of pain?
He had, because of playing back in those days, they would sometimes shoot you up with Novocaine to put you back on the field.
Yeah.
So he had ankle pain, knee pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, and elbow pain.
Wow.
And not to mention his neck. And
I have awful shoulder pain on both shoulders.
There's this incredible healer dude that you can,
I know.
JoeP360.com.
I know. I know.
Well, and that's the thing. People live with, this is the thing. People put up with stuff. And my thing is you don't have to put up with it. With the success rate with shoulder pain and such, it's probably about 93, 94, maybe 95% success rate that in one or two sessions, it's going to be gone.
Wow.
Certainly there's going to be times when it's going to use more sessions. And if that's the case, oftentimes I'll tell people, it's like, let's coach you through this.
Joe, how do you do this? What does that mean to be intuitive?
So, like I said before, God didn't make me an incredible musician or basketball player, painter. I actually have the gift. I can read everybody. You put somebody in front of me, and I can see your absolute greatest talent, your desires, what really turns you on, and I can see all the subconscious blocks. I can see what holds you back. And when I do this, people are really shocked. I volunteered at the Juvenile Detention Center out in West Palm Beach, and one of the times I was reading, and the girl really got irate. She goes, "You're not supposed to show him our chart. He's not supposed to know that." She goes, "You saw him. He walked in that door. He came here and sat down. The charts are over there. He doesn't know anything about you." But, I was dropped into a room of 52 people once, and I started reading and, read every single person. And when I do it, I set out the prayer and intention to only see what I need to see, hear what I need to hear, feel what I need to feel, and then only say the words that the client needs to hear.
When did you first discover that you could do this?
When I was sent home to die. In 1999, I was sent home to die. And 9 of the best doctors gave up on me. They had been treating me for over 6.5 years. And they knew that there was only one treatment left for me, and that if it didn't work, it would kill me. So they told me that I needed to go home and prepare.
What was wrong with you?
They called me a universal reactor. And what that means is that anytime...
Were you a bomb, Joe?
Pardon?
Were you a bomb? A universal reactor?
Luckily, it was just towards myself. But I did... So universal reactor means that anything that touched my skin, anything that I breathed, and anything that I ate, my body would highly overreact. And it went to attack that. So if it attacks your food, okay, and I was so allergic to so many foods that when I would eat them, I would have immense pain. I would have brain fog if I smelt certain chemicals, everyday chemicals.
That's
Laundry
crazy.
detergent, hairspray, hand lotion. One of the side effects is I would lose my vision. And so I could see you, but I'd never be able to tell you that you're a human being. I'd never be able to tell you that that's Thor's thing or that's a lion or that this is some money.
How long did you live like that?
So I was extraordinarily sick, where it affected my work for 6.5 years. For
6 years.
For 3.5, I couldn't work at all.
Wow.
3.5, I sat in a chair. For almost 2 of that, I had to be on oxygen. And I had to be on oxygen to have more pure air than contaminated. Because
How old were you?
I was in my 30s.
Wow.
I got healthy when I was 39. My 40th birthday was an incredible celebration because I was healthy for the first time in a long time. I have my arms up on some of my literature, and what it was is my daughter was 5.5 before she knew me healthy. Her whole life, Daddy's sick, Daddy's getting sicker, and then Daddy's dying. Her whole life. And so the first time we went to the library and I didn't need the oxygen, we came out of the library and my daughter threw, Daddy, no oxygen, no oxygen. And so on my literature, sometimes I put my arms up in the air and say that if we can't live like this, we're doing it wrong. We need to be able to throw our arms up and celebrate and say that I love my life.
Yes.
I love my body's healthy, and that. And so
So you were sent home to die.
Yeah.
Because they had nothing for you.
Yeah, they exhausted all the treatments that they had. And I worked with over 9 doctors during that time period. And my medical chart was about that thick.
Wow.
Showing all the things that were wrong with my body. And when I got healthy, one of the doctors said, can I draw your blood again? I said, yeah, that'd be great. And so he drew my blood and he showed me the markers. And he says, Joe, it's like, okay, here's your blood here and here's your blood here. There's 3 things over here that when they go wrong, we know the person's dying because it's impossible in our medical world to change these. And so over here, it's perfectly healthy. It's perfectly within realms. You're a different body. You experience a miracle healing. And when I experienced that miracle healing with a Chinese energy healer, he told me, he says, you can do this too. And I looked at him and like, what are you talking about? But I studied with him for 3.5 years, and then a friend of mine is native, and
This was after you were sent home to die.
Yeah, I went to him because I was sick. I was trying.
You wanted away, right?
I wanted to live.
Yeah.
And so I was told about this incredible healer, and that was in town. So I went to his demonstration, and I listened to him. He didn't choose to work on me, and I went up to the stage at the end. And when it came to me, he looked at me and said, you can do this. And I looked at him and was like, okay, I'm the dude that's dying. I'm like, I need help, But he made some of my pain.
And he didn't say that to just anybody.
No.
He saw and said, you can do this too.
Yeah,
He knew.
in fact, his helpers that were there, it's like, okay, who are you? I'm like, what do you mean who I am? And it's like, well, we've known him, and he hasn't said that to anybody in over 17 years. And who are you? I said, well, I don't know who I am. I'm like,
I'm some dude that's dying.
I'm sitting there and it's like, I want to get healthy first. I need to get healthy. And they said, we can help you. And I just had this feeling, okay, so I invested in it. And
How much did that cost you?
It was $200 a session at the time.
That's not too bad.
No, that was back in 2001.
Okay.
So those guys right now are $1,500 a session.
Wow.
I'm still quite cheap by that, But I went to him I went to his students, and after the second session, I no longer needed the oxygen. And after the third, I was completely healthy.
That's crazy.
And-
What do they do exactly?
Nothing.
They put energy over you, right?
No, literally, when I was being worked with, the guys would sit in a chair just like you are, and I would sit in my chair. Most of the time, they wouldn't look at me. And when I work with a client, I don't look at you either, because if I look at you, I'm going to want to do eye contact. I want to be respectful and pay attention to you.
Right.
And when they would work with me, they would look away. They would, do things like that. And I would feel different things in my body. And sometimes I would feel horrendous pain. Sometimes I would have visions of things that had happened to me in my life. And it's like, oh, shit, I forgot about that.
And what are they doing while that's happening to you?
So in quantum physics, they call it the observer effect.
Okay.
So, because if we had our hands touching,
Yes.
at the level of the atom, there's absolutely zero way to find out where you end and I begin.
Correct.
So if that's like that and we don't know, well, in between us, they don't know. But they've also, with Greg Braden studied it, Bruce Lipton studied it, Dean Rodden studied it, HeartMath.org has studied it. There's proof with Kirlian photography and other instrumentation that they can actually attach diodes, all over your body. And they can look at the energy that happens in the quote unquote healer or healing facilitator and the client. And when the healing facilitator is doing something, the client will have shifts. And even if they're 1,700 miles away, 3,500 miles away, they've proven that. And so
That's crazy.
Yeah. But this is the thing. We're all energy. Everything is energy. Always has been, always will be. And so whether you want to call it energy or creator, the same light that's in you is the same light that's in me. There's no way I could read you. There's no way that I could help facilitate a healing unless there's something in you that's the same thing. And what I look at is the light that's in you, the light that's in me, the light that's in the creator. We form this perfect triangle for the healing process. And so that's why I take it really, really serious. There's a lot of people out there that, quote unquote, say they do healing.
Yeah. I want to go deeper into this because I'm super curious. Mm-hmm. Tell me exactly, if you can, what he was doing and what you do as you're looking away. What is he doing?
So
how is he transmitting energy to you?
Well, that's the thing.
Or you to a client?
Yeah, so I don't transmit energy unless, so if I witness an accident or if I witness somebody, they broke a bone or something like that, then I will transmit energy to help diffuse the situation, help take the pain down. Because for example, an ex-girlfriend of mine and we were in a very, very serious car accident, and she was hurt very, very badly. And so I immediately went into mode, and so I worked to decrease the swelling, okay? I worked to decrease the inflammation. And so when the ambulance got there, they're like, what are we here for? And I said, she's got a hole in her cheek. And it's like, well, she doesn't anymore. But when the vehicle had hit her, there was an absolutely perfect square hole in her in here, but it didn't break the skin. But when they went and they did the CAT scan, her whole side of her face, the doctor likened it to like if you had cornflakes on the counter and press it. He says that's what her cheekbone looks like. But she never swelled up like a balloon, and she never had the blood breakage, and everything like that. The bruising.
What did you do exactly at that moment?
Prayed. So exactly what I did is I went in and literally when I have the ability to look at a person. So should we do it with your shoulder?
Sure.
Okay, so which shoulder's hurting right now?
The left.
Okay, and what's the range of motion? Okay, so when does it hurt? How does it hurt?
It almost feels nerve. It almost feels like it's coming from like here all the way down my arm, and I feel it inside.
So weakness, tingling, fire.
Some numbness sometimes, and I do feel pain, like almost like my shoulder's heavy.
Okay. And so right now it's feeling like heavy, and what
right
else?
now it feels a little bit heavy. If I move it certain ways, I feel pain.
Okay. So one of the things that's going to happen is I'm going to work on it and I'm going to look at it, but you're still going to ask me questions, and we're going to continue the interview.
Sounds good.
Because I can do that. And when I give presentations, people will invite me to come to their work, and I can talk to their employees, or come to their, right now I'm talking with somebody about pickleball, and he's got a whole group of pickleball people, and it's like, okay, great. So I go there and I talk about increasing your energy, because all of us, we can do things to increase our energy, maintain it, safeguard it. And then also with every athlete, there's a couple of movements that I can do that since 2012, every single athlete I've ever worked with will put it down the cash, have them compete. Then I'll have them do a couple of different things. I'll talk to them, do a little bit of energy work, and then say, okay, let's recompete. And every single athlete will be able to outdo what they just did to win cash. And so I teach people that. So with yourself, when we look at it, one of the things, of course, is that you're carrying burdens, okay? And right now what's happening is you're carrying a lot of social burdens. So there's a lot of things that are going on in the world socially that are really kind of ripping you up, okay? Is really kind of getting to you. Where you can watch it and you can try and say, okay, I'm staying in my higher power, I'm staying in my higher energy, but it's taking you down. But then there's also some stuff where when I look at it with one, I'm not even gonna say it's like you have two kids, it's with one of the children that you have some concerns, you have some worries, that's getting you. And that's actually causing some of the rotation issues because the shoulder, goes up and down, but it also rotates. And so when we look at something like that, when we think that we have to go straight and such, we have to go forward, it doesn't give us the lateral option. And so when you're trying to solve problems and solve solutions, and we have that blockage, what ends up happening is it manifests physically. So that's part of what's going on. And so what do you notice now in your arm? And
I see you tapping in. I felt you tapping in.
Mm-hmm. And so then what we come into some of the muscles in here, the pectoral muscles, and then, but it's also the intercostals. So the intercostals are the muscles that are in between the ribs. And the intercostals, that's something about being able to expand, okay? We need to have those muscles expand. And when you're trying to get things done and you're trying to work on things, what ends up happening is we crunch down. So even though we might meditate, might exercise, might stretch, the long term is that crunches down. And so the intercostals are inspiration, okay? Because the lungs are the organ of inspiration, and they're also the organ of grief, okay? So you got some grief that's hanging on there, and so releasing that. What do you notice now?
When I saw you were talking and you went like this, and I felt something leave my...
So that's what it's like, and so when I work with somebody...
No, like all jokes aside, I'm not feeling the pain anymore.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's how quickly it can go. There's three other things that, as we go on and talk about stuff, I'll work on it still. But
that's insane.
But this is the thing. So there's an absolutely fantastic movie, and I'm gonna blow the ending. Sorry. It's called "What the Bleep Do We Know?" What the bleep do we know?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Well, and so it talks about quantum healing, and it talks about energy.
That's crazy.
Healing. And they have the doctors in there talking about it. Then they have the spiritual people, the religious people talking about it, and then they have a drama to pull it all together. And then I think it's Wolf is the guy. I think it's Alan Wolf.
I've heard of Alan Wolf.
Yeah, he's a world-renowned physicist.
Yeah.
And he's standing in front of the Presidio, and he goes, "Now, if you are not thoroughly confused, you were not paying attention." So we just spent, I don't know how much time, like an hour and a half. They were telling you what energy healing is and how it works. And the expert says if you're not confused, because the more that you try and explain, it's kind of like, do you know how your car works? Do you know how the engine works? And unless you're a motorhead, you're not going to know. Okay, how about the air conditioning?
I have an idea, right? But I don't know thoroughly.
How about the air conditioning? Do you know how an air conditioner works?
Compressor.
Yeah. Most people are like, I don't know, I just turn it on. Well, hopefully we can someday get to that point with energy healing, and we can accept it. And there's a whole gradation of energy healers, and there's some that aren't so hot. There's some that are incredible. And I happen to be lucky, and I'm up there. And so trust your intuition, but it's to know that it can happen.
So you're not transmitting energy. What are you doing?
No, because transmitting energy, because it's kind of like Reiki is one where if they judge that there's an excess in your body, that they intuit that there's an excess, they'll try and take excess out, okay? And if they see that there's a depletion, they'll try and put energy in. Okay. It's like, okay, well, hold on a second. I'm Joe Petrovski. I'm a single father, dealing with that kind of issue, going back some years. So it's like I got these stressors, those stressors, that stressors, this stressors, broke up with a girlfriend, blah, 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 blah. Do you want my energy going through you? I don't think so. Why should my energy go through you? And that's the thing. There's a fantastic book called Fool's Crow. Fool's Crow by Russell Means. Fool's Crow was an incredible Native American healer. And he says, we are supposed to be like hollow bones. Creator's up here, the bone is here, and our client's here. We're supposed to let that energy go through, and the least we touch it, the better off the client's going to be, because we're just a vessel or a conduit for creators' energy. And so,
as a podcaster, I needed a place to share my voice and hear other stories. That's how Forge Studios was born. A place created not just for me, but for everyone searching for something more. An environment where as soon as you walk in, you feel the energy and you feel welcomed. Where being seen and heard is part of the experience. A place for entrepreneurs to share their journey, for creators to bring ideas to life, for businesses to grow authentically. A space that values mental health, encourages real conversations, and supports those who turns ideas into impact. Here at the Forge Studios, creativity, culture, and purpose aligns and comes together to help you create something greater. A place where we leave the filters behind and we start expressing ourselves for real. The Forge Studio. Your journey starts here. Your impact starts now.
when I notice you, it's kind of like I talk about when you're at school and the teacher leaves the room, all of a sudden Johnny starts to misbehave, okay? Well, when the teacher comes back in the room, she doesn't have to tell Johnny to start behaving. Johnny knows, and he goes and sits in his desk and starts behaving. Well, with the energy, it's the same thing. I don't need to tell your energy what to do. As I hold space, your energy makes the adjustments and the changes that it needs to happen. Where I am different with that too is when I do the coaching, you're asking me to tell you what I'm seeing. You're asking me to help you shift that energy. Because like the shoulder problems, if we don't get it to the point where you can handle the social pressures, shift the way that you're thinking and feeling about the one son in particular, those things, if we can't shift those in some ways, this probably is not going to come back, but it might come back in another way. And that's the thing, and that's when I started to coach, because I would have clients, I had been doing it at that time for 12 years, and I would see people and it's like, well, first you came with back problems, and then you came with knee problems, and then you came, and I'm like, okay,
There's something else wrong here.
Yeah, but it's
underlying issue.
Yeah, and that's the thing where I tell people, it's like, you know, peel an onion right now, put it on the counter. It's like, okay, it stinks, okay? Leave it there, you know, for a day, 2, 3 days or whatever. It's not gonna smell so much. Peel it 1 layer, 2 layers more, and it's gonna stink just as bad as it did when you peeled it the first time. That's the same thing with us. We're always growing. There's always things. We're always running into, you know, stimuli. And right now in the world, there's enough stimuli to put anybody off their rocker.
Oh yeah.
And so how do you maintain when you see all these things going on in the world? And that's the thing where right now I'm getting a lot of people, and I'm embarrassed to come. It's like, dude, you have a heart. You have a heart. So I'm glad that you're having some issues, because with everything that's going on in the world, no matter what thing it is, it's because you have a heart and a soul, and we need to be able to, but we have to go back to what's the original thing. And when you asked about, I can't remember which recording, if it was this recording or the other one, when you ask, is it this lifetime or is it previous lifetime?
It was a previous recording. Yes,
Okay.
yes. But
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that back up.
Okay. So
Just to go back, I had asked you if a lot of your clients have issues that are from this lifetime or past lifetimes.
And it really depends on the person. And you know, one of the people that I was talking about is there was a woman, and she experienced the Cold War in Poland.
Yes.
Okay? And then her mother experienced the Cold War.
I'm so glad we brought this back. That was a great conversation we were having.
Yeah. It was cold. Her mom experienced the Cold War in Poland, but then she also experienced World War II, and then she experienced between World War II and World War I. Her grandmother had experienced World War II, World War I, and all the strife that had happened between that. And so, and all of these women were very attractive, and they worked for the resistance against, you know, the Nazis, and, you know, and I don't remember who the bad people were in the First World War.
Yeah.
But they were working the resistance, trying to save their people, their townspeople, their family. And so, and through the war, each of them, except my client, Each of them had been raped a number of times, okay? And then they also had to, it's like, okay, do I live or do I give this guy sex, you know? Or how do I get this? I
Right.
need to get this information about the bombing, who's going to bomb or what's going to happen. And so they put themselves in situations that they didn't want to be, but they was like, okay, do I let this guy rape me so I can save my townspeople? They experience stuff like that. So now this woman comes and she's very, very socially conscious, okay? Really, has a thing about kids, especially because of the kids in wars, you can tell what's going on in Gaza. It's horrible. And so this woman is, very, very socially conscious, very attractive, and trying to make it in a man's world. Well, trying to make it in a man's world is really, really similar to trying to make it in war, which is really unfortunate. So she had a variety of things that were where she was clearing for generations.
Wow.
And so we had to help her clear things like that for, her mom and her grandma, and then get it to the point where she just had her energy.
What a load.
It was unbelievable, the things and the problems. And she's beautiful, sensual, artistic, all of these incredible things. And she was putting up with all this. And it's like, how do I get past this?
Right.
And but it was fantastic. I mean, she was responsible. She did the work, and now happy, self-directed. Experiencing life, experiencing pleasure, experiencing successes emotionally, physically, spiritually, romantically, all of that kind of stuff. And
That's awesome.
so that's one. Others, they come in and they have one of the things that's really interesting. So, is if you were a child and something tragically happened to you. So, for example, I'll talk about women right now. And so, women that had been sexually abused when they were a certain age. So I had a mother that came in, and her daughter all of a sudden started to develop all kinds of, physical issues, irritable bowel, nervousness, get sick at the drop of a pin, all these different things. And the mom comes in and it's like, I'm really, really worried about the daughter. And I'm just like, okay, she's 7 years old. It's like, okay, so you were first molested by your father when you were 7 years old. And she goes, yeah, I was. And it's like, okay. And so I said, well, and also at 9 years old, there was something that tragic was happening. And so when we as people experience something like that, and then we become parents, when we hit those ages that we had something tragic happen to us, something that violated our boundaries, things like that, when our kids get to that, it's going to be a real disruption between the parent and the child. The parent's either going to come in there and just like, I got to protect you, or there's going to be this thing where I'm almost afraid of my child, because what it is that that person's really afraid of being sexually abused again, but they're at that age. And so it's like, and it's just, this is one of those things where,
Wow.
Really, God? I mean, come on, why?
What a mind fuck.
Oh, hell yeah. And you don't know it. And then there's the guilt with it. And it's like, okay, you didn't decide, okay, I'm going to do this to my kid. For some reason, the neuroreceptors are there. The memories are there. Let's get it to the point where you clear it, And it's amazing. I mean, it's utterly amazing.
That's incredible.
And that's the thing. When people come to me, it's never and always. People come in, back problems. It's, because if you look at Louise Hay, she's got, if you look at it, How to Heal Your Life, it's a fantastic book. And it's right a lot of the times, but not all the time. And so when people come in and they have a certain pain, I don't go to the book and say, oh, it's because of this. What I do is, okay, this is what's coming up. And that's, how I'm different. I pay attention to your situation. And like when I was working with the athletes, they would come in with all these different things. And it's like, this was this person, that was that person, and that was that person. Okay, and you two kind of have similar things. But if I treated them all the similar, I'm going to do them a disservice.
How do you deal with all this fluctuation of energy within yourself? Do you have to take time and just have Joe time where you're meditating, where you're recharging, where you're, you know what I mean? How do you deal with all that?
So, well, it's very, very interesting too, because when I first began this work, literally what was happening, I would go like this all the time, and which isn't necessarily the most cleanliness thing to happen.
Right.
And then as I would work with clients, the sixth or seventh client in the day, I looked like I was a cokehead because my nose was all red. And so I prayed and was like, okay, God, you got to give me a different symbol. And so now I can feel it in my hand and in my forearm if I'm right on. And then if it's really something, then I can feel it in my feet and my calves as well. That's, things for me letting me know that I'm on the spot.
Right.
But then after I work with the client, when I'm done working with the client, I have to pee. I have to pee, and it's like, and I get that energy out of me. When I teach, when I teach for 7 or 8 hours a day, the energy is so high that I always have helpers with me, and I'm never allowed to drive after I teach.
Okay.
And, 'cause when I teach, because what happens
You're
is
fully drained.
well, not the draining is what the beauty of it is when I have 22 students in there, 22 electric souls that if you could measure their energy, and you can with Kirlian photography and everything else, you got this incredible powerhouse of energy. And I got 22 of them around, and they all allow me to tap into them all day. So I'm tapping into this incredible energy, and I'm teaching over here, and I say, well, you over here, you're looking at it the wrong way, check out this way. They're like, how the hell did you know that? I do. So, but at the end of it, I am so otherly world and so more connected to heaven than I am to earth. I have to really, really be careful how I walk, be careful getting in the car. And then
Wow.
Because
you're floating, I guess, right?
I'm completely,
high.
And it's something where what will happen.
No, you're literally like high on energy.
Totally high. And
that's crazy.
What will happen is somebody will call up, and it's like, yeah, I'll take the call. And I'm just like, so like your shoulder, when I'm gelling, I'm teaching 22 students, and you tell me about your shoulder, how's your shoulder? Seriously, it's that fast because the energy,
Wow.
I'm so connected to Creator that I can just instantly see it. And
That's powerful, Joe.
Yeah. So I go for a swim. Bare minimum is take a shower, but pray to God I can get in water. And when I was up in Wisconsin one time, I was teaching, and it was cold. And literally the snow was still there, and the water was there, and like nobody had a tub. So I'm like, I'll see you in a couple minutes. And my friend she goes, Joe, are you serious? She goes, that water's probably like 33 degrees. And I'm like, I said, Amy, I got to do something. I said, I'm just, she said, okay. So I went in.
You were almost on fire. I had to cool off.
Oh, totally. I went in there, and I got in deep enough to the point where I just, I let myself kind of fall down, and get it like that and get all water on me and everything. And I could feel it. And it's like, okay. And I got out, and I got into that towel, and then I hopped into the sauna just to warm up a little bit. And I said, okay, now I can go eat dinner. And because to have a conversation.
Wow.
When I'm teaching, to have a conversation, that's not going to happen, Yeah.
And when you're teaching, what are you teaching? Others how to be like you.
Not be like me.
No, not be like you, but to do what you do is what I meant.
Well, yes and no. What I do is so everybody that has the ability can do it differently. So we don't need a million Joes out there running around.
Understood.
Because that's kind of like, taking Tom Brady and tell him, like, okay, now you be like Aaron Rodgers, okay? They're different sets. They're both really, really good, but they do it differently. So I'm not going to try and make you be a healer like me. I'm going to make you be the best healer you can be.
Understood.
So when I have 22 different people, it's 22 different flavors, and they're all going to be there. And I can teach them, and I can guide them, and I can mentor them to be that. But they're going to be like their healer, not me.
How do you know if you have it in you to do this?
You might not. Most people that I see that are gifted, they don't know they're gifted. And it was wild. I ran into a woman the other day, and I was with my girlfriend. And I said, hey, I said, and she goes, okay. She understands. And so I looked at this woman, and I said, do you know you're gifted? And she's looking at me, and she was a very attractive woman. She thought I was coming. I said, this is my girlfriend, by the way. And I says, I'm just reading your energy. You got fantastic energy. And I says, so do you hear from the angels? Do you hear from people that have passed? I said, I says, it feels to me like you could be a hands-on healer. I says, and all of a sudden she looked at me, and her girlfriend all of a sudden caught on to that conversation. And she goes, what were you saying about her hands? And I said, well, it really seems to me that she could simply touch you, and emotionally you would feel better like that. And her girlfriend just looked at her, and she goes, that just happened 15 minutes ago. The girlfriend had a really horrible thing. Was going to break up with her boyfriend, and so this woman came, and she says, so she held her one hand, and she touched her shoulder, and then all of a sudden, this woman, for the first time in like 5 or 6 hours, didn't feel like she wanted to cry. And so, but the woman didn't really. She thought, well, I thought I was just being compassionate. And I says, no. I says, if you want, you can really tap in, and the angels are going to work through you. And I've had students.
Is she a client now?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And so, and I've had students, that are 17 years old and 19 years old, and they're sitting there and I just kind of felt like I was kind of weird in school. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're unusual for sure. And, but it's something where one of the clients that I had, she didn't know that she had the gift. She didn't know at all. And so she was so damn empathetic that she could feel what everybody here is thinking. She could feel it. But she didn't know, is that me? Am I thinking that? Or are they thinking that? And so
she couldn't discern.
So if you've ever had the feeling, God damn, I just want to slug them, because somebody, I was like, okay, she doesn't know if you're really going to hit her. If you're thinking it's like, she's a bitch, or she really thought that, she really felt it. She couldn't separate that. She was so empathetic. And I'm like, we have to help you. Empathy's a good thing, or it's going to kill you.
Right.
And she did have a really serious illness. And so helped her get healthy first. But then I told her parents, I says, I got to coach her because she's so darn empathetic. If you want, she can tell you what went on at your work today. And she can tell you the two people that you had disagreements at the work. And the dad's looking at me and like, how did you know? He was like, how did you know I had disagreements with people at work? And I said, well, your daughter feels that too. And I said, this over here, I says, she knows, she doesn't know who, but she can feel that you had a horrible disagreement with your own sister. She feels that. And so she's sitting here trying to be this kid, and she's got this really, really upsetness over here. She's got this really, really sadness up here, and now she's supposed to eat and do her homework, And so helped her really understand. It's like, what am I feeling, And because it would cause problems. Her girlfriends would be upset. She didn't know if they were upset at her, She just could feel the upset so strongly, she couldn't take it out of her.
This woman's energy that you saw, what did you see? How was her energy different?
So I can feel people before I see them.
Okay.
And so I'm sitting there, we were looking out the window. It was a beautiful scene down in West Palm Beach. The sun was just incredible. It was beautiful. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting, and I've got my girlfriend, hand in hand. And all of a sudden I turn around and I see this woman coming in. And at first my girlfriend used to think that I was doing it because they're attractive,
right.
And I'm just like, I was like, okay, I'm with you. That's her energy. And I said, so.
Well, in a sense, technically, you were attracted to the energy, right? The
totally.
energy pulled you.
Yeah, but it's something where, so when I have that kind of energy, I want to investigate it.
Right.
I can also feel the aggressive, fuck you, horrible, even addictive energy. I can feel that too. And what I've done, and with my daughters especially, I'm just like, okay, if we're at a concert or an outdoor event, the fair, something like that, it's like, hey, we got to get going. And it's just like, and so, and I'll just look, and I'll give them the look, and they know that something is, we got to move. And so what I'll do is I'll move them into safety, and then all of a sudden we'll see whatever it was that I said we got to move. It happened. Somebody got in an altercation, somebody started yelling, whatever. I can feel that energy too, and so I move away from that energy.
Do you feel it like a boiling pot? Like
I feel
simmering and about to pop? Is that what you feel? Like the elevation of the energy?
I don't let it get that much.
Okay.
If it comes to the elevation, then what I got to do is I got to use all of my tools to protect myself. And there's ways that I teach people to be able to protect your own energy, but then also to get others' energy away from you. So sorry about that. Because there's ways when you know how to use your energy, you can push somebody away without.
As a podcaster, I needed a place to share my voice and hear other stories. That's how Forge Studios was born. A place created not just for me, but for everyone searching for something more. An environment where as soon as you walk in, you feel the energy and you feel welcomed. Where being seen and heard is part of the experience. A place for entrepreneurs to share their journey, for creators to bring ideas to life, for businesses to grow authentically. A space that values mental health, encourages real conversations, and supports those who turns ideas into impact. Here at the Forge Studios, creativity, culture, and purpose aligns and comes together to help you create something greater. A place where we leave the filters behind and we start expressing ourselves for real. The Forge Studio. Your journey starts here. Your impact starts now.
Looking at them without touching them. And so if I feel it boiling up, first of all, I'm gonna get the hell out of there. Second, it's something where, if necessary, I have all kinds of energetic tools that I can do, and I've used them. You know, there was one time that there was 2 guys that were coming after me, and I just did. If you go to my website, profoundpower.net, put in your email, or you'll be able to get a free PDF and video that will show you this. And there's one technique. If you practice it a lot, it's really, really powerful. And it's simply you come down with one hand, all that which is mine is mine. All of which is yours. And in martial arts, you do this kind of thing, and they teach you how, but don't rely on that just on its own. That's what I did because of years of teaching and practicing it. I used it. One of the guys tripped, and I ran down around him, you know. But when I feel the good energy, you know, when I was dating, it was something where it's like, okay, she's got fantastic energy, but it's like, okay, is she a good match for me? And at first I used to just go with the great energy. But then I'm like, okay, I can't waste time. I can't waste time. I don't want to waste her time. I don't want to waste my time. So I can feel that energy. And when I feel that energy, you know, I'm just thinking about something else. But when I feel that energy, I have to decide. It's like, do I approach them? But it was really years ago. I was being introduced to a woman, and we were going to date. That was the idea. So she was interested in me. I was interested in her, and I came up, and it's like I sat there and I tried and I tried and I tried, and all I could say, "Do you know you have angels in your fingers?" That's the only thing I could say. And
What does that mean to you?
Well, she said, "What did you say?" I said, "You have angels in your fingers." She goes, "What do you mean?" I said, well, I tried to say something different. The only thing that can come out of my mouth is that you have angels in your fingers. And
What were you trying to say?
well, what she says is, she goes, well, for the last 3 days, I've been praying and praying and praying whether or not I should go to the Upledger Institute and learn how to do craniosacral massage. And she goes, now you're telling me that I have angels in my fingers. And craniosacral massage is very, very gentle massage with your fingers. So now I know that that's what I'm supposed to do. So she went to the college, and but she didn't like the fact that I could see the way that I could see. So we never dated, but we're great friends. You know, so.
That's awesome. Joe, I'm really curious.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to read my energy. Mm-hmm. You probably already have. You probably already.
Well, what are you feeling right now?
I feel. Seriously, like I'm not even kidding. It feels better. It's weirdly better.
Yeah. Well, and it's something we could work deeper on it, you know.
But I mean,
so
do you think that I'm someone that can do this?
So everybody's got different skill sets. So for you, one of the things is there's a part of you that's really analytical and kind of pragmatic. And so what we'd have to do is we would have to shift out of that. Okay. And so what I would look at it seriously, absolutely, completely, totally serious.
Yeah, please.
Is what I would look at. We talked a little bit before about
No feelings hurt here.
Yeah. Well, we talked a little bit before about Tantra.
Yes.
Okay. So I would dig deep into that.
I have been actually.
Okay, fantastic.
For the past 2 months, I've been going deep into Tantra.
Okay. So I would go into that Tantra, and then what I would do is with your wife, be that. Because it's something where you may know it, you may not know it, but it's something where she's literally kind of like your maypole, okay? And a maypole is basically, if you know about it, there's all kinds of strings or things like that, and everybody goes around the maypole, and that's the whole thing. The maypole is really vitally important. Can't do it without it. Well, she can be your maypole because she's really, really strong. She's very grounded, but she's also highly connected to Creator, okay? And so when you're gelling with her, life is pretty darn good. When you're not, or when she's a little bit hard to reach, you're not so stable. You have a little bit more difficulty, doing the day-to-days and the business stuff, that kind of stuff. So if you
That's so true.
Yeah. What was that?
That's so true.
Yeah. So if you come in and you choose to do the Tantra stuff, and you choose, because in the Tantra, it's been getting a bad rap because everybody's doing it, and that kind of junk. But it is one of the best things that if we could teach it in schools and people understood it, it'd be fantastic.
What is your definition of it?
So Tantra literally is if I decide to couple with whoever I'm coupling with, that my role is that I'm supposed to connect to Creator, and I'm supposed to believe that I'm the wand of light. The only way that I'm the wand of light is because I'm choosing to connect with Creator. I'm choosing to play that role. And then she is the temple of life, okay? And so when I come to her, she is my queen. She is my goddess. She is representation of God, Creator on earth, okay? That's the closest that Creator can do it for us, is by giving somebody else that we can pleasure, somebody else that we can receive pleasure for. Because Creator can't come in here and, could if you wanted to mystically do stuff. But Creator basically is saying, I'm giving you the opportunity to worship me. I'm giving you the opportunity to receive worship from me. I'm giving you the opportunity to pleasure me. I'm giving you the opportunity to be pleasured by me, Creator. So if we make that connection and decide that that's what we're going to do, and you come and you do some of these tantric things, the breath work is so fantastic. When you start to do breath work and spider sit, it's amazing because when I go home, that's one of the things that I told my girlfriend, we're going to spider sit tonight. And whenever I say that, she literally is wet all day, okay? Because it's something where she knows that she's being honored, she knows that she's being desired, she knows that she's being worshipped, and she knows that she's being held in a high place. And so when you come together with the breath work, when you come in together with the idea of the sacred touch, and then if you choose to go in to do the yoni massage and choose to be the minister or the servant to her when you do the yoni massage, it's amazing because every woman, unfortunately, has been sexually, ogled, sexually, and probably has been sexually touched the wrong way, had to tell somebody, get your hands off me, or worse. And so it's like every woman has had to change their energy, buckle up, tighten down, or take it on because they've had to, protect themselves. So if you come in and you choose to do that yoni massage with the woman, you can de-armor her. And when you de-armor her, she's going to go into a state of lusciousness that she's never experienced. But the thing of it is you got to be able to portray, it's like, and this is the part where it's like, okay, now are we doing this just for fun? Or are we doing this so I can serve you, help you, and heal you? Because when you come in and you do the yoni massage to help and heal, that's a completely different frame of mind. And you had to tell her beforehand what she's going to receive. Is she going to receive just pleasure tonight? Or is she going to receive healing tonight? And so when you come in and you do that yoni massage, and you got to really study yoni massage. I'm not going to go into it here, but it's very,
No, I know what it is.
Yeah, very, very gentle.
Yes, I've done it.
Yeah.
I've been taught.
Yeah, and it's wild, the things that happen in a woman. The shame that goes away, the freedom that comes, the ability to feel their body more. And it's wild to see, without words, without diet, without exercise, all of a sudden see her shape change that she's wanted to have. and the safety, the ease, all of that kind of stuff with Tantra, and it's amazing. And so that's something I work with women, and I do 90%. I do energetic, where we do that kind of stuff. But there's times when they've gone through physical stuff that I will actually do the only work with them. And to see them come into their power and their safety, there's nothing like it. And
That's incredible, Joe.
it is. And that's something where it's got to be sacred. And I won't even, come in. I have to coach with a woman at least 2 or 3 times before I'll even do the energetic. Because when I do the energetic, even though she's in California or she's in England, she's going to feel me, quote unquote, touching her body. So we've had to clear a lot of horrible things before she's going to be able to feel that safety. And I'll do the energetic 2 or 3 times, and we'll clear tons. And the lusciousness that they feel. Most women don't even know what they desire anymore, because they're taking care of the kids, they're doing the career.
They're so numb.
Yeah. And so you ask them, what's their desire? It's like, well, I want my kids to be happy. Like, okay, well, if you can't say anything about your kids, can't say anything about your spouse, can't say anything about your career, what's your desires? And they don't know. But when you do the tantric work, they can get in touch with their desires. They can get in touch with their purpose, their freedom, and it's amazing. And and it's got to be seen as the most sacred work ever. They got to feel incredibly safe, because if somebody missteps, you just reharmed them. You just became a perpetrator again, and that's the last thing in the world they need.
Right. Beautifully said. I want you to give a message out to people who. I'll ask the question. What does having multiple partners do to you energetically?
That depends. That's like talking about, what's it like when you go out in the sun? Some people, when they go out in the sun, fry up in a heartbeat. Some people can go out in the sun, they can lay in the sun all day and they're fine. So it's not the number, it's the intention of both. And this is something I tell people that, and Susan Bratton it'd be interesting to hear what she would have to say about it. And with Michelle Alva, it would be really interesting to have a kind of a 3-way dialogue.
That would be awesome.
It would be cool. Maybe you should arrange that.
I should.
So
maybe in November.
That would be cool. Because I tell people, especially women, that, because they're like, well, I just want to have some fun. I was like, okay, cool. If you want to have some fun, that's great. You can go to Disney World. You can go to Universal Studios, and you can take their eyes, woo, and you can have it fun. But if you really want the rides and the dinner, or if you really want, quote unquote, the fun, and you want Monday morning or Tuesday night, and you want that togetherness, you better be honest with yourself. Because if you sit there and it's like, oh, I can do it, I can guarantee you're going to fry your nervous system.
Yeah.
But I know both men and women where they say, they're in non-traditional relationships. They're polyamorous, they're ethical non-monogamy.
Or they're swingers.
Yeah, and they say that. And some people can do it. But the ones that can't, they're going to have problems. They're going to have emotional for sure, but they're probably going to have physical problems that eventually, if they don't take care of their soul, they're going to need to go to the doctor.
Really?
And it's not going to be for an STD. Seriously, you can have a broken heart, but it's also, if you're doing anything, and this is something where if you're at a job and the job sucks, but I make good money, talk to them in a year. How are they? They probably lost their ability to connect with fun. They've definitely lost their ability to relax. They've definitely have lost their ability to spontaneously laugh or get excited about something. We know that happens in their career. It's the same thing that happens if people are irresponsible with their heart. So if you can go out and have multiple partners, and you truly are nurturing your heart and it feels, okay, there's some people that can do that. Most people that I deal with people that are sick or sad, they know that they need something to be happier. So I see the people that have tried things like that. And I worked with a woman and her husband wanted to be a swinger. And all of a sudden, And everybody, because she was a swinger too, to appease her husband, everybody loved her breasts. She ended up getting breast cancer. Okay. There's another woman, and, it was something, I just want to be fucked. Right out of her, that's what she wanted. She just wanted to be fucked. And, and so she ended up getting cervical cancer. And I said, okay, let's revisit this. You just want to get fucked, okay? What did you really, really, really want? And I took it through, and it took probably 8 or 9 minutes to get her to the point. I just wanted to have somebody think I was special. I wanted somebody to need me. I wanted somebody to want me. And so I experienced that when I let men fuck me. And so I let a lot of men fuck me. So for moments I could feel needed and I could feel special. And I said, yeah. And I says, okay, and how were you the next morning? The next morning she was sad. The next morning she'd go and have some mimosas and try and wash it out. But we can't wash things out. I was worked with somebody a few years ago, and politically there was some stuff that was totally against this person, but as working for the political person, it was a lot of money, and so
They were at odds with their beliefs.
exactly.
Yeah.
And when we do that, it's going to cost us. So we got to be careful. So there's never nothing in life that I've come across is black and white.
What a very valuable conversation.
Thanks. Thank you. This has been, for me, it's like we need to know about our energy. And when we understand what our energy is, because it's kind of like, I don't know about you, but I used to have this idea that a really romantic vacation would be to go to the mountains in the winter, take a sleigh ride, have the snow falling on me, sit by a fireplace, go in the hot tub.
That sounds awesome.
To me, it sounds like hell now.
Does it really?
I hate the cold. Oh my God. I used to love the cold, but I don't know if I could actually really enjoy it because now that I've been in Florida for so long, I love the heat.
Me too.
And so I have to know that about me. And it's something where people, they have to understand what is it? And just an easy thing, music. Okay, what kind of music do you like? We're not going to sit here and everybody has to love jazz, or everybody, needs to love the Dropkick Kennedys, or the Dropkick Murphys, Dead Kennedys, Dropkick Murphys, that we're not all going to gel to the same things. And we need to know that, and we need to respect it. And if I force myself to do anything to make you feel better, or to get along, it's going to cost me. And we have to be able to understand that. And we have to be able to understand because there's some people out there. There's a woman I was working with, and she's out there yelling and screaming. She cannot stand, everything that's going on in Gaza. And I says, I understand that. I think it's horrible too. But I said, you're out there yelling and screaming, and you're getting more tired. You're getting more upset. You're getting more hopeless.
Right.
And I says, you're actually getting depressed, and you're kind of suicidal right now. And she had to admit, she goes, yeah, but I got to let people know. And I said, well, maybe write some letters, maybe write some poems, maybe spread things on social media. But I said, you can't go to the protest. When you go to the protest, you're really, really, really sick afterwards. And so I said, encourage your friends, maybe make some signs. But I said, you got to come to something that's in peace for you, where you can feel you're doing what you need to do, but you got to do it within, your frame of mind. And that's the thing where any time, Real Love by Greg Bear is a fantastic series of books. And he talks about getting and protecting behaviors. And we either do things to get love or protect ourselves. But if I do anything, hoping that you might, I've already lost.
What do you mean? Give me an example.
So, even just like, okay, if I go home and I clean the house and do the laundry and make the meal, so hoping that my girlfriend loves me.
Got it.
Okay. I'm the one that
I agree. Understood.
So I can do those things because I love her.
Right.
I can do those things because
it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, and I want to clean the house.
Because you want to, right?
But if
nothing to do with her.
Yeah, if I do it to get, I'm losing, and I'm putting expectations. You better love me a shit ton because I did all these things for you. And that's a little bit of an exaggeration, But that's what people do is, I will do this hoping that you will.
Isn't that most marriages?
Well, yeah. And then you look at most marriages end in divorce, and then the ones that don't end in divorce celebrate 50 years and they can't hardly stand each other.
Miserable.
And that's the thing where honesty, and I talk about beach balls, because when you're in a relationship, what ends up happening is there's a cute little resentment. It looks like a beach ball.
As a podcaster, I needed a place to share my voice and hear other stories. That's how Forge Studios was born. A place created not just for me, but for everyone searching for something more. An environment where as soon as you walk in, you feel the energy and you feel welcomed. Where being seen and heard is part of the experience. A place for entrepreneurs to share their journey, for creators to bring ideas to life, for businesses to grow authentically. A space that values mental health, encourages real conversations, and supports those who turns ideas into impact. Here at the Forge Studios, creativity, culture, and purpose aligns and comes together to help you create something greater. A place where we leave the filters behind and we start expressing ourselves for real. The Forge Studio. Your journey starts here. Your impact starts now.
Okay, now let's hug. Okay, I can't hug you because of the damn beach balls, but it's a cute little thing, but it's in between us. We have to be able to get rid of those resentments. And I went to a barbecue one time, and I was sitting there, and I was talking with all the women in the kitchen and everything like that. Really wonderful woman, fantastic woman, funny, really pretty, and just funny as heck. And then she started to talk about some of the volunteer stuff. I'm like, this is really a cool lady. And so she's really neat. But then all of a sudden, she started talking about her husband. Her husband's a jackass. Her husband's insensitive, blah, 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 and everything. I thought, oh, okay. So then I go out by the guys by the barbecue, and I'm talking to the guys, and I, meet this one guy. He's really, really cool, really funny, really silly, but really accomplishing things, and he's doing philanthropic. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Then he talks about his battle axe. His battle axe. She's got a tongue like a river and everything like that.
Battle axe.
Battle axe, yeah. So battle axe
is that?
It's an old term, but a battle axe is typically attributed to a woman that her tongue is like an axe. Her tongue can cut you to shreds.
Got it.
So he was talking
about his wife.
Yeah, his wife. And I'm sitting there thinking, it's like, okay, here's this nice lady, here's this nice guy. They should meet each other. Well, they're husband and wife. They're husband and wife. She's a great person. She's doing all these incredible things. She's really filled with love. He's a great person. He's filled with love. And it's just like, they keep going. And it's just like, well, so what we have to do is it's like, hey, honey, but a lot of the times, and this is why I coach, a lot of times people I don't know what the fuck it is. I just can't stand her, right? And I don't know why. And we go in there, and all of a sudden it's like, really? It's that? But, that demon that we talked about in one of the recordings that we did that got discarded, that demon that's inside of us, that subconscious that is going to try and save us but is sabotaging us.
Yeah.
That's the one that's holding the resentment. And we got to figure out what that resentment is. If we don't, you're going to try all day long. And this wonderful person and this wonderful person that you used to be completely in love with.
Right.
Sex was off the charts. Fun times, just walking and doing nothing was just fantastic. Unless you get rid of those resentments, unless you get rid of those blocks.
And it won't matter if you switch partners.
Oh, hell no. You're just going to recreate them.
Right.
And, you see that all. Second marriages end more often than first marriages, But I just look at it, and certainly there's a ton of marriages that shouldn't be existent, Mine is one. Both me and my ex-wife, we met when we were wounded. Our wounds matched perfectly. When we started to do our own personal work, we didn't gel in the least, And so, and if you're in an abusive situation, no, do not stay, But if people remodel houses all the time and they're happier, that thing, should I sell it or should I love it or list it, They usually end up loving it. And if we did the same kind of work with ourselves, we would end up loving it too.
That's well said. And we'll leave it at that. That was a little mic drop.
Okay, cool.
That was awesome, Joe. Great conversation.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Of course. Do me a favor. Look at that camera.
Okay.
Let everybody know where they can find you.
The easiest way to find me is joep360.com. JOEP and the number 360.com. It has my Calendly on there, and I always offer everybody a 30-minute complimentary consultation. Call me up, say, hey, I got this going on, what do you think? And we'll see if we can talk with each other and if the way that I work and the plan that I have, if that resonates with you. And anybody that knows anybody that has a physical issue, illness, pain that hasn't helped, same thing, Joe P360. And thank you. Thank you.
Awesome, Joe. God bless you. You are such an amazing person. It's not every day that you meet someone that can heal you just by holding space to allow my body to work on it's incredible.
Yeah. And that it's so important to be able to truly hold that space and not, I don't do what I think I should do. I just open up to Creator and hold that space.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
I'll make sure to put Joe's links down below. Make sure to go follow him. If you're in pain, reach out to Joe. He can really help. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and we'll see you guys next time.